We all recognize the imagery: stadiums full of people, hands placed firmly over their hearts, voices unified in song. From a young age, we are taught that civic duty has a specific look. You stand in a straight line, you salute the flag, and you follow the status quo. In this view, loving your country is synonymous with unquestioning loyalty. But if you are standing only because the person next to you is, you have become a passenger rather than a citizen. A state that survives on this type of passive obedience stops being accountable to its people, which is why the neo-statist framework views this collective complacency as a systemic danger. To protect the state, we have to distinguish between patriotism and nationalism. While they look similar in a stadium, they function in completely opposite ways. Mistaking blind obedience for love of country creates a vulnerability. It removes the pressure that keeps a government functional, eventually leading to the ruin of the nation itself. Patriotism is the active desire to better one's home. It is a commitment to the nation's potential that often requires direct conflict with the government's current decisions. A patriot can fly the flag while maintaining the vigilance to aggressively critique the policies of the people in power. This proactive love requires the honesty to admit the state has flaws, and the courage to demand it reaches for something better. Nationalism is the dark mirror of that impulse. It is the moment where civic discipline decays into intellectual decadence. Nationalism relies on the absolute assertion of supremacy, the belief that the nation is flawless and stands naturally above all others. This assumption creates a culture of resistance. If the state believes it is already perfect, it views critical thinking and outside ideas as threats rather than tools for growth. Historically, this mindset creates a brain drain. Nazi Germany, driven by nationalistic zealotry, exiled or murdered its top intellectual minds because their work didn't align with a fabricated narrative of perfection. When a state rejects reality to protect its ego, it inevitably dries itself into total systemic collapse. Unquestioning loyalty provides no protection. It simply blinds the people at the wheel until the nation sits in ruins. How does a healthy patriotic mind devolve into this type of dangerous nationalistic one? The decay is often driven by a media market that relies on sensationalism to capture the public's attention. The engagement gap is clear. Patriotic policy critique is quiet. Nationalistic panic is loud and captures massive engagement. Constant exposure to this rhetoric overloads rational judgment. This repetition creates an echo chamber. Civic vigilance is replaced by aggressive complacency, where crowd noise replaces independent thought. The free market's appetite for attention naturally accelerates this rot, turning citizens away from their duty to critique and toward blind extremism. To survive, we have to find a way to foster a unified sense of patriotism without letting it mutate into nationalism. The only cure for complacency is active, institutionalized critique. This starts with education. High school civics classes should explicitly require students to research and deliver a critique of a national policy as a condition for graduation. This curriculum builds the specific courage required to question the state, ensuring that the habit of vigilance is formed before the echo chambers can take hold. We also need to change how we handle pageantry. Communal bonding moments are valuable, but they must include an explicit acknowledgement of our international peers. You see this at baseball games in Canada, where fans stand in respectful silence for the visiting team's anthem before singing their own. Recognizing a peer nation's anthem reinforces the understanding that your country is one of many equals. This mental habit of mutual recognition is the foundation of international law, the same principle that requires us to honor the sovereign borders of nations like Ukraine. True loyalty requires a vigilant accounting of the nation's failures. Having the courage to hold the state accountable is what forces it to earn the support of its citizens every single day.